Welcome to Never Shut Up. It's your boy Marcellus Wiley in my school spirit. Feeling great, representing St. Monica High School right here. St. Mo's in the building. It looks fresh, so that's the only reason I'm wearing it, other than obviously it's my high school. But I shouldn't be wearing a hoodie when I'm doing TV. Y'all know me, I sweat quick. I run hot, and so maybe by the second or third topic, you might see me flip it to a t-shirt, but bear with me, man. I'm trying to look fresh to death up here. Oh, we're going to have a great show today. I want to tell you guys what's going on in my life, and it starts with last night. Had to go visit my sister who has a broken ankle. Yeah, my sister broke her ankle at her 50th birthday party dancing. Y'all heard me right. Like, that lets you know how we get it in around here. I'm known as two sweat towels when I go to the dance floor because I got one in both pockets and I'm ready to tear up the dance floor. They call me Big Usher for a good reason. My ass can dance, for real. But my sister, big 50th birthday party, she's so pumped, obviously, as she should be, right? Planning it for, it felt like 50 years. I was like, damn, finally it comes. And she has like 4 changes of outfits. She doing way too much, 3 months, right? So she's in her like 3rd outfit change, and I didn't notice anything. And then all of a sudden, I'm out there dancing with her and these hired choreographers. We just getting it in, coming to America style. We over there doing all that, right? And I'm noticing my sister, who always leads the charge, who's the better dancer of us two, was a step behind me. And I know I was feeling good because I was hydrated, but I was like, damn, I shouldn't be out doing tiki like this. Turns out she hurt her foot, hurt it, changing clothes, and just kept plowing through it because it was her 50th birthday party. She couldn't tap out. And now she's been up. Her birthday was December 31st. She's still in a boot and a cast going back and forth and no healing in sight. Crazy, right? So anyway, that's not even the point of the story. I leave her house and I'm on the way home and I pass a construction site, whatever, and it's making me narrow down to like the last lane in the corner, whatever. I hit the corner, probably didn't stop at the stop sign, whatever. Finna get busy, I'm almost at the crib. Whoa, 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 whoa. And boy, is there any scarier feeling in the world than whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, oh, okay, let me get right. Let me get tight, 10 and 2. Everything looks great. All right, you know where your license registration is. Play it smooth. Turn the music down. Let's go. Cops come up. Hey, sir, what are you doing? You know that you were weaving between 3 lanes. And I was like, well, I had to go and narrow because of the construction site. He was like, no, after that. And I was like, damn, he caught me. I am a badass driver. Like, my wife complains every time she gets a car. Like, dog, stay in your lane. I just can't. And then having a Tesla and it's on auto drive, it does all the driving for you. So when I have to manually actually drive, I feel like I forgot how to drive. So he called me. I ain't arguing. And then he's like, all right, you have something to drink tonight? I said I had 2 Stellas with my sister. She's healing. He's like, all right, let's do the test right now. I got to see your eyeball test. Don't move your head and look side to side. Don't these cops know I went to the combine like 30 years ago? I'm going to pass every physical test. I could have had 900 kegs in me and sitting there, oh, my belly can't even see straight. I'm going to pass me a physical test. I still got the football player in me. But long story short, I'm sitting there. I'm in my, the window rolled down. He's doing it. And he did it way too hard. He went way past my eyesight and eye line, so I almost wanted to move, but I was like, that's a drunk move. If I move my head, that's what drunk people do. So I let it go too far, and I was just like, all right, well, that's just too damn far. He came back this way, that's too damn far. And then he looked at me, he was like, oh, you passed the test. And then he insulted me. I was really offended by this. He looks in my car and he said, what's up with the Chargers decal? And I was like, 1, that's the best team in LA, and 2, you don't know I'm a former Charger? Like, you let me off just because I'm nice? I thought you would let me off for some celebrity stuff, so I felt a little insulted. He didn't know who I was. Not really. Anyway, we got to turn from a lighthearted story to get into our actual topic for the first block, which is an arrest warrant was issued for Jalen Carter. If you don't know who Jalen Carter is, from the University of Georgia, just may be the #1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. Athens-Clarke County Police Department announced yesterday Jalen Carter will be charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of reckless driving and racing. The charges stem from the alleged role in a car crash that killed his teammate Devin Willock and a staffer, Chandler LaCroix, in January. He says he's going to cooperate with police. There's no question he will be fully exonerated at the end of the process. Interesting here. First thing I was thinking of, so they were racing each other, basically, it sounds like in summation, and the deaths occurred. The car accident occurs, right? Takes me back, because what this is on a macro level, and this is just after winning a national championship, y'all. Football players especially, but I think all of us, but football players especially, I want to talk to us. We try to fill in the gaps of adrenaline deficit. So whenever we are having a lull from an adrenaline rush, we try to fill it in. Because you can't mimic the highs when you're on that field. You can't mimic the roar of that crowd. And when there's a time to celebrate, or there's a time where there's a gap between you actually participating, even in retirement, especially in retirement, guys try to fill that back in with the same kind of color. Like, I need something else that gives me that same fix. And drag racing becomes one of them. And you know me, I always raise my hand and show you my scars before I try to impress you with my achievements. My scars in this one is, I used to do this same exact thing. And in Jacksonville, it came to a head. Coach Jack Del Rio finally nixed that. He said, no more drag racing from road trips when you guys land at the airport. What was happening is when we took our road trips, obviously we would park our car at the airport at the hangar. Once you do that, take your flight, go out there, win your game. Jacksonville, win or lose your game. We didn't always win our games. And then come back. Once you come back, you pumped up, especially if you won, celebrating. Guys like, all right, what we doing? Where we going? Let's do it. And these guys got all the cars, from Ferraris all down to Hemis. And you're 27 and you have $14 million in the bank. And you're going to get $14 million this year. Those guys, me included, all right, I beat you home. None of us live next to each other. None of us lived in the same house, obviously, but we're racing just to, in proximity, know who got there first. And we would do it week in, week out. Thankfully, not one car accident. Thankfully, not one incident that even came close to this. So the real conversation is, are we talking about Jalen Carter in terms of, is he a great guy who made a horrible mistake? Or is he a bad guy who made a horrible mistake? That's going to be for the evaluators in terms of where they're going to draft him at the top of this draft. But obviously, he's still going to get drafted because he's a tremendous football player being charged with 2 misdemeanors. Feels a little light, right? 2 misdemeanors for 2 deaths. But obviously, he didn't cause the accident, it sounds like. But obviously, him being a part of it may be some loose form of the conspiracy. Hey, if you're not racing him, then he's not racing you, and maybe then we don't have this as a consequence. A lot of those things happen, man. A lot of us out there, my daughter, I tell her all the time, and thankfully so far so good. You see these guys that are racing on the streets, you see these guys hitting those donuts at those lights, back off. Not only back off, get away, because you have seen countless times accidents happen. And unfortunately, in this moment, this accident was deadly. Well, coming up, it's time to talk about Ja Morant, who needs to chill out. I gave out my warning shots about a month ago, felt a little criticism and backlash. Y'all weren't listening to me then. Y'all gonna listen to me now? That's next on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Baby. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. It's your boy Marcellus Wiley, and I want to get into this story because unfortunately sometimes in this world feel like you get those premonitions, right? You can see something coming before it happens. And a lot of people out there, when they don't like what I say, they call me a hater. I think that's just commonplace for all of us, right? Oh, you a hater. And since I come with love and I come from love, I never accept when someone calls me a hater. So, you know me, I had to edit that. I said, no, I'm not a hater. I just tell the truth too early. And that's what I think in this Ja Morant situation. Maybe I was telling the truth a little too early, but now we're here. All accusations, so we always assume you're innocent until proven guilty. But also, where there's smoke, maybe something's burning over there. Ja Morant accused of punching a 17-year-old boy 12 to 13 times and flashing a gun at him during a pickup basketball game last summer. Huh? Yeah. Now, this is the same Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies that there was an altercation before about at the arena, and after it, some of the people on the bus saw lasers pointed at their bus. This is the same Ja Morant. There's an accusation where his mother was at a finish line at the mall, had a little issue in the finish line. Next thing you know, Ja Morant shows up, crew deep, asking, when is the worker getting off of work? I wonder why. He wanted to take him to dinner. So here's the thing. When I stepped back from this, the first time I looked at Ja Morant and was like, this is going to be interesting. You know, are we going to get into some Allen Iverson level stuff, which, watch this comparison, not as bad as some Tupac stuff. And what you see is some guys are not going to let go where they're from, not going to let go of how down they are, you know, even though you should let go of down because you're now up. But I digress. Some people want to actually go out there and flex like, yo, I'm really from it. Now, we all witnessed this when we went to college. When you first get to college, the farther someone got away from their home, the more gangster it seemed like they got, right? Everybody. I was like, dog. And people assumed that I was gangster just because of where I'm from. But then they hear me talk, they hear me and see me act out and just be me. They were like quickly like, nah, he ain't trying to be hard. Hell nah. I survived that. You think I'm trying to act like that now? I ain't trying to flex and front for you guys for any reason, anything. But Ja Morant is in a position right now where it seems like, I could see this coming. I could smell it. Why? It started actually with the Shannon Sharpe incident and his father. His father, look, supporter, biggest fan, seems like at every single game, even road games, it seems that way. Father T. Morant. And when I saw him get into it with Shannon Sharpe, and it wasn't like a dust up, it wasn't like they were about to throw hands, but it was more than I would assume a father role to be. It was more than I would want my daddy to do. I was like, let me keep watching this T. Morant, Ja Morant relationship and seeing how it plays out. Well, Ja Morant's in a position where I found myself loosely in the same position. There's a daddy issue going on right here, and let me tell you what it is. When I was playing, needed a father, not a fan. It looks like from the outside, Ja Morant needs his father, not a fan. Why do you need your father? Because the world is now your oyster. You have the world on your phone in one hand, and then you have the world in your hand in terms of all your access and resources and your name and your money. You are Ja Morant. And in that moment when I was a professional athlete, I was on a much smaller scale than the Ja Morant, but I still needed my father. What I received was more of my father being a fan. My father was always there. He was always supportive, but the dynamic shifts. You got to remember, when you're a young man and looking up to your father and all of a sudden you get a check with 3, 4, 5 commas on it, all of a sudden that relationship and power dynamic flips. Your dad may feel like he can't flex on you the same. I don't know why, Pops, you should, because I need a father, not a fan. But in my situation, my father kind of took a little off his discipline of me, took a little off of him coming down and making sure I understood the principles and things I was going through. Because he was like, oh, that boy done made it, and that boy is taking care of me, and who am I to say something to him right now? Look what I produced. It's done. It's ready-made. No, it's not. Because now the world's coming at you at a completely different level and different speed. And how are you digesting this? What's the circle doing? Is it yes men? Or is there guys that actually say, dog, don't do that. And don't do that again, or else I'm going to have some consequences for you, or I might have to depart from this. No, of course not. We know how the circle looks typically. What about your father who is getting that monthly check, who is living in the house that you bought, who is driving the cars that you purchased? Is he coming down the same exact way as a father would, no matter what the circumstances were? The same way you grew up? Is this the same way now he's raising you? Because guess what? When you're his son, you're always needing that guidance, needing that leadership, needing someone to step out of these situations and make sure you see them properly. Not be somebody that runs into them with you or runs in them faster and gets you into them. So now we have a situation where we've seen his father get going with him and do something at the Laker game, whatever that was. And now we see a situation where he's responding to his mother and coming to her aid, but doing too much in accusation. I just hope the best for him because he's such a tremendous talent. Seems like a great dude, but wow, the world's in his hand right now. And instead of holding it, embracing it, and lifting it up, seems like he want to throw the set up and split those fingers. And that whole I'm acting hard stuff has a hard ending. And I don't want that for Ja Morant. So I will step out, tell you my issues in my situation. My father, I love him to death. I wish he would have cracked that whip on me a little more. I wish he'd have told me, hey man, you hanging out a little too tough. I wish he would have told me, you need to look at this situation like this instead of like the way you are. Because I'm the one going through it. And I can't see the forest from the trees, Pops. But you can, or at least you're supposed to. So in situations like this, I've seen so many guys, they think that talent alone gets you there. And then talent alone will keep you there. Oh no, you gotta be a man of character to even become a professional athlete to some degree. You gotta be disciplined, determined, focused, right? You gotta put it all in. But guess what? When you get there, they even ask more of you in those attributes. So right now we're asking more of you, Ja Morant, to be more of a man, to be the greatest version of yourself. Not live out some childhood kind of fantasies and hood folklore and actually act harder and tougher than you are. Nobody believe in that. The way you got it right now, the last thing you need to do is show people how hard you are because we all know you don't have it that hard. Coming up on Never Shut Up, oh man, it's time to go to my brother from another Big Diesel, Shaq. Oh, he's talking about my man Anthony Edwards. So the question is, how long do you have to be good before you're actually great? Oh, Shaq has his version. I'll tell you mine. That's next on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reese TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. It's your boy Marcellus, Wiley, one of the old heads, like Shaq, I guess, right? Oh man, we're seeing it right now in media, new media, old media. That's what they're terming it, right? Old heads versus these young kids, these young cats. And Shaq obviously is an old head on the show. And he was talking about Anthony Edwards. And it made me just term this, when is good enough to be great? But what Shaq said about Anthony Edwards was, we know he's balling and he's been improving every single year he's been in the league. You have to be great for a long period of time because we all remember Jeremy Lin. What happened to him? Whoa, woo, okay. I don't like when people do that. When they say, okay, you can't be this because I pull out the exception. Like I go to the extreme exception, pull out a Jeremy Lin and just say, you are that. Like make me think of Anthony Edwards could be Jeremy Lin. How, Sway? Like Anthony Edwards in his third year and averaging 24 points. Like I don't remember 3 years of Jeremy Lin, like Lin Sanity. I remember the wave. And obviously that wave was based on, yo, he went to Harvard and he balling. Then the fact of, wow, he's been here for a while and you guys didn't notice him. Then the fact that he's Asian and you're like, wow, he's defying the stereotype. And then the fact that you're like, dog, he's still tilting. He like, you can see the skills. Then you were looking at everybody like, how y'all didn't see this before? And then you saw, obviously, him kind of return to the mean, as they say, regression to the mean. But long story short about this one, is it a fair comparison? I don't see it. But I know what Shaq is trying to say is like, today in our world, we're just appointing guys and just anointing guys way too fast because that's the way we look at things in this microwave society. The way that we are working right now, we're literally, our attention span is that fast. Like working in media, oh, that story's old. I was like, it happened 2 days ago, but people have moved on from that. And we know that. So because our attention span is so short that when we see something, we make more of it. So maybe Shaq was sitting back like, y'all making way too much of Anthony Edwards because y'all stuck in this moment, but y'all not gonna keep perspective. I think in perspective and in this moment, the dude is damn good. But is he great? I stopped short of that. And why would I stop short of that? Let me do my comparison, like Shaq did with Jeremy Lin. I was commentating at ESPN, and this is when J.J. Watt, the light bulb, the watt in that light bulb was at maximum. Like J.J. Watt was tilted, destroying cats, 20-plus sacks a couple of times, right? And the conversation was, will J.J. Watt break the all-time sack record, right? And I'm like, man, he on pace to do something crazy. And then I didn't say yes, but I was like, yo, he's going to be an all-time great, which he is, I feel. But more than that, he's going to threaten that record. And then I got a call from just the person who just happens to hold that record in Bruce Smith. And he's like, son, because he called me son. I used to call him my football father because obviously he raised me in the game. And he was like, son, he was like, I just saw a segment you did on J.J. Watt. And he said, this is how you always talk. And let me just tell you, look, to get to 200 sacks, there's two ways to do it. You could get 20 sacks every year for 10 years. Or you could get 10 sacks every year for 20 years. Next time you do that segment, just think about that and answer the question thinking of that. And I was like, damn, that's some math that is never going to be mathing. Like nobody's ever going to make that add up. Did y'all hear me? 10 years at DN, I want to see 20 sacks. How about one, coach? Maybe. All right. You right. 20 years. First of all, coach, playing 20 years in the trenches, shit, that ain't happening. Okay, no. Okay, 20 years and give me double digits every year. Give me 10 every year. You can do that, right? I got drafted at 22 playing to 42 and I'm getting 10 sacks in my 42nd year, old year. Hell nah, it ain't happening. And Bruce was right. And that made me just keep a greater perspective and a more of a lock on what I call good and what I call great. And sometimes because I commentate and now I have more of a face that's recognized even more so than I did when I played. And I was a damn good player. You know, I joke a lot. I had my moments. I was great for like a day. And then I was good for about a week. Then I was all right for a month. And the rest of my year in my life was just sorry. Like, you know what I mean? But the point is, I was top 50 in the NFL, voted twice, right? Made the Pro Bowl, got voted 3 times, but started once. Like, I get it. But great, when these kids walk up to me and their dad is like, because their dad just wants me to sign an autograph and sign a good one, personalize it. Oh, he was a great player. And I'll be like, Daddy, you pouring it on thick. Like, you pouring it on hella thick. Like, it ain't that serious. And so when Shaq is speaking on Anthony Edwards, when we're speaking on players, good to great, I wish we would have a little more perspective on it because we got to start from the top down. A lot of times we don't even start there. We start in the moment and then just reflect backwards. That's not how it goes. Like, you got to measure the greats against the great. And if you're not looking, okay, if Anthony Edwards is great, what's Kevin Durant? Amazing. Let's stop. Here we go. No, he great. Here we go. Stop being corny. I hate when kids do that. I love you. No, one love. It's only me. One love. Houdini. That's all I need. You know, kids be doing it. My wife sometimes be acting like that. I'm like, you acting way young. Stop repeating the same word for emphasis. Just say it the right way and mean it. And so when I say Kevin Durant's great, right? I can't say that Anthony Edwards is great. He playing hella good. I can say, oh man, he's on the way to being great. Giannis is great. Can't say that about Anthony Edwards. So it's weird. You're listening to that Shaq and you're like, man, Shaq sound like an old head, get off my lawn type. But then when you hear what he's really saying here, he's like, dog, you got to really do that for a long time. You don't want to believe Shaq. You don't believe that he's saying it the right way. What about Bruce Smith, all-time sack leader? He broke it down the same way. You can't dismiss everything by saying, shut up, old head. Sometimes that old head is just kicking knowledge, just kicking wisdom. Coming up on Never Shut Up, it's time to get divorced. No, I'm not going to get divorced, but Ray J was thinking about it, and we're going to talk about that in the full episode. It's time to go deep, time to go raw on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV, and see you tomorrow, Brinks TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up, full episode, raw edition. It's time to talk it. And let's talk about divorce. And a lot of times people assume that I've been divorced when they know my family structure, right? I'm 48 years old. My wife is 40 years young. Yeah, I told on your young old ass. I have a 24-year-old daughter. She just turned 24 a week ago. That's why I was kind of stuttering through it. 24-year-old daughter. I have a 7-year-old boy, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. Now, when you hear 24 and you hear 7, you're like, where'd you go? Did you you get lost in space? Like, what happened? What's that gap? So most people assume, 2 different mothers. Well, you're right there, but not married before, okay? That's a straight baby mama, pure baby mama. And now I'm married. So I've never been divorced, but I have thought about it. Let's talk about it. Because Ray J is in the news. According to some legal docs obtained by TMZ, Ray J filed the documents in LA asking the court to dismiss his divorce from his estranged wife, Princess Love. Oh man, so this is not the first time that they have tried to divorce each other. Not the second time they have tried to divorce each other. This is the third time in a year and a half they've been estranged, so basically broken up or split up, whatever it may be. And you're like, I'm going to get divorced. And then, Ray J, wait a minute. Then he's like, no, I'm going to get divorced. Wait a minute. Then he's like, no, I'm going to get divorced. Wait a minute. First of all, that was a banger. Y'all can talk all the trash y'all want about Ray J. Wait a minute was a banger. All right, I'll give you that. Little Kim too, that was a banger. But he wants to wait a minute again. And I understand this. I am here for this conversation. All right, one, I don't believe you should ever get divorced if kids are involved. I really don't. You could get married and y'all got a probation period. As long as y'all don't have kids, stay married if you want. If not, peace out. But as soon as you have those kids, and before, you better make this decision. Oh, you know what? Okay, we got a commitment to each other, but let's just be real. It's over a piece of paper and some rice in Mexico. You know what I mean? That's where I got married. So it's like, man, stop playing. Bye, and I ain't got to see your ass ever again. But with kids, I think you're going to always see them. Now, they can become adults and you never see them or you rarely see them, but let's be real. The kid's going to want a reunion. The kid's going to want to hang out with both parents, graduation, their wedding. You're going to see them again. So y'all always connected with kids. Therefore, I say your ass should stay married. Now, it's a little hyperbole in there. I'm joking a little bit. But I do feel that you should stay married for the kids. Now, in my situation, I've been married 8 years, to be 9 in June, right? And I'm laughing at Ray J, who keeps getting divorced and then getting back or trying to get back with his estranged wife. And it just makes me laugh because are you really in love? Do you love someone if you don't hate them 3 times a day, right? My wife and I swear I want a transcript of her internal voice because I know she dog cursing me at least 3 times a day. But I will give y'all my transcript every day. Something happens, I'm like, man, damn, I'm stuck. Like these kids, my wife, I love her. And then it's like flip, because there is that thin line between love and hate. And then I don't really hate her. It's just the fact that, God, this shit's hard, dog. Like, plus I'm used to me. Like I lived 38 years of my life and I ain't even know you, lady. And now we've been married for 8 years and together for 10. But damn, why you punking me like this? Why you telling me I got to go outside and get the Amazon boxes in the rain? Why can't you? It's for you. Whatever's in that box ain't for me. Look how I dress. It's for you. And I got to do it. And it's just funny because I think what happens is relationships are like this. You got to remember who we are in the relationship. We always start with who the other person is. No, don't start there. Then you always start and say, okay, I figured that out. Let me start here. No, don't start with you. Start with us, human beings. We are wired to do the least and get the most out of any situation. So you got to work to actually do more. And you got to work to tell yourself that you're not always going to get the most. Y'all catch that? All right, so here's the game. That's why being single feels so good. And to you married people out there, even though marriage is amazing, I will testify, I love being married, not getting divorced. There's a different feeling. Like, you know, that freedom, that single is because you, when you're single, can do nothing. You could go on a whack-ass date. You could take somebody to the coffee shop and don't order coffee. Just be sitting there talking. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And guess what? You still may hook up with her. She may still be like, all right, I'm coming through. And it's funny because when you're single, it's so random. And it doesn't feel like you have any commitments. You're on your own schedule, right? You're doing the least, but getting the most out of it. Well, marriage slaps that upside the head. It's like, oh, you're going to do the most and good luck getting anything out of it. Like you get appointment sex when you're married, right? I remember I was at this dinner party and I didn't want to go here because I don't like telling people about my wife and us that intimately because then I'll be thinking they thinking about us and fantasizing about my wife. She cute. She fine. I don't want all that. But they were talking about how they don't get any. I was like, what y'all going through over there? And then I started to reflect. We had a lot more in common than I thought. I was like, y'all out here tripping. I don't know what the issue is for Ray J, but it's just funny when you talk about love and those dynamics. Like, what is going on? Marriage, we know the divorce rate is 50%, if not higher. You know, I made comments in response to Lala Anthony saying her friends that are married are miserable. And most people are miserable when they're divorced in her circle. And I was like, nah, I don't even think it's misery, y'all. I just think people tired of working. And when you're single, it can get taxing because it's like, dog, I got to go to bed sometime. Oh, man, I can't go to the club again. Yeah, whatever that is, fatigue. But marriage, it's a whole different endurance. It's a whole different conditioning, right? You running a marathon with marriage, and there's no breaks in sight. And it looks like Ray J wanted a couple of those breaks in his marathon. Man, get that. I tap out over here. Gatorade. You still running? Nah, I'm good. Forget her. Oh, you going home? Nah, I'm going to keep running. He did that 3 times. So all I want y'all to do out there is stick with it. But first of all, know what you're in to know what you're sticking with. You are in a marathon that never ends. At least it's not supposed to. But as we know with the divorce rate today, at least half of them do. All right, y'all. Y'all know how we end these shows. We end it with a Wileyism, baby. Okay, this is an interesting one. Why? Because you got to think about it just for a second. Give it before you get it. Give it before you get it. To make stuff manifest in this world, attention is invention, right? That's another one. I'm doubling it up today. But long as you give something attention with intention, you will have an invention. You will create exactly what you want. What this Wileyism is, give it before you get it. When you walk into a room, every one of us wants that room to receive us well. Every one of us wants the room to be nice, be jovial, be fun, electric, right? So give it before you get it. When you walk into a room, instead of asking yourself, how will the room be? Why don't you just make the room what you want it to be? Be that. Someone told me that the other day. They was like, my mantra in life is be that. Like whatever you're thinking of, like, oh, be that. And when you walk into a room, instead of waiting on everyone to be nice, then you're nice. Waiting on everyone to come up to you and speak, and then you'll speak. You go out there and give it before you get it. Think about all the times, whether it's me playing football, I want to make a big play. I want to go out there and make an impact. I got to give it my all before I'm going to get it back in return. So no matter what endeavor you're going through, whatever you see in life, especially those rooms, the unknown, the question mark, go ahead. Don't be scared. Give it before you get it. That'll do it for today's episode of Never Shut Up. I appreciate you guys supporting me. We got some things coming up. One, we have our chalice. Obviously, our chalice you can order on Brinks TV. Log in, get your account, your free account. But we're going to start doing some auction items. I'm going to have some personalized jerseys, autographed books, trading cards. It's time to have some fun on this show. Oh, y'all wait. By the summer, by far, this is going to be the most fun show because it's already the best show. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.